What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Import Modify. On this episode, we'll be focusing on the CX Racing oil pan. Now, if you watched my last episode, you noticed that it did not fit up as well as it should. So we're going to be taking the time to shave off the material in the inside of the pan in order to get this thing to mount on the block like it should be. And also, I had some items that I ran through the media blaster, and they're over here. I have the turbo exhaust manifold. I got all the rust off of this thing, so we're going to be painting it with thermal paint. And also I'm going to be painting up the coolant cross pipe for the Freddy intake because we got to be focusing on that pretty soon. And then also I'm going to be cleaning and painting the valve covers as well. So we got quite a bit of work to do. Let's go ahead and start the episode. So I'm in my shopmate Eric's car, and he told me I can use it to make a run to the store to go grab some drinks. So he's got aftermarket turbo, intercooler, and everything on this a Fiesta ST. He's got a Cobb tuning on it and all that stuff. And on 91 octane, it makes 270 horsepower. And it's such a fun car because it's like a little go-kart. So I just thought I'd take you guys along for the ride, and we'll get on it real quick. Such a fun little car because it's so small. I mean, it's like a little go-kart, and with this amount of power, it's pretty cool. So I'm gonna get it here out on the road, and I'll give it another go. All right, on the way home, let's take another rip. That was pretty much it. It is pretty fun for 170 something horsepower. Here comes Eric. Shh, don't tell him. I just want to let you know that I did not get on it.
Bullshit. I heard you leave.
All right, I've been scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing away on these valve covers, but I pretty much got the whole coating that was on there, the whole paint coating off. So now we're down to bare aluminum, and I'm gonna go ahead and mask these off real quick and shoot a nice coat of paint on it, and it should be really nice. So all that prep work that I just did to make sure that I get a nice coat on it just went to shit right in the middle when I was doing my third coat on it. And the can, I don't know if it just didn't have enough pressure in the can or what, but right in the middle of me spraying it, it just started spitting really, really bad. And then also it got on the other valve cover. So all that freaking prep work that I just done, it's for nothing. So now I'm gonna have to come back on another day, strip it down with aircraft stripper, power wash it all clean again, and start with another coat. But that pisses me off because I spent a lot of time getting this stuff clean, and that's what happens when you're doing projects. You know, expect the unexpected. It is what it is, guys. All right, well, I'm pretty much done for today. Come back in on a new day. We'll get those valve covers straightened out. Then after that, we'll finish off the trimming and getting the oil pan fitted on there. We got the exhaust manifold done, and we got the coolant cross pipe nice and painted. So see you guys on another day. What's up, guys? Back in the garage for another day. So I was very disappointed after the results of the paint on the valve covers yesterday, because the can just started spitting out really bad on my third coat and really screwed the whole damn paint job up. So at that point I was kind of questioning the color of the valve covers, and I just decided to put them on the engine with the valley cover to see exactly how it looks. And now that it's on the engine, I gotta say I am digging it. I like it. And being that it's a white car, I want it to be like white, black, and red in the theme of the color. So I think it's gonna look pretty good once it's done right. And here's the Freddy intake right here. And I'm gonna paint this Freddy intake a wrinkle black. So it'll be wrinkle black with the white valve covers, the black valley cover, and then I bought me a red billet top feed fuel rail. So I think that's gonna set it off pretty nicely. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick with this color, but I did complain about the paint from the place I bought it from. I brought it back, and they did exchange it for a new can of paint, and also they gave me some Scotch-Brite pads for free on the house to see if I could just, you know, get the coat back even. Just kind of scuff it in nice and even. I'm going to see if I could do that without having to strip it, because I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up or not, but it did spit really hardcore right here and a couple other areas. And being that this is the first thing you see when you pop the hood is the valve covers, that is indeed a no-go. I'm going to go ahead and see if I could get this even, reshoot it with some paint, and then we'll let this thing cure. But I am digging the white valve covers. And I know white as an engine part ain't the wisest decision, but it's not going to be my daily. So we'll just see how it goes. If I don't like it in the end, later on down the road, I'll paint it a different color. But I'm kind of digging this, so I'm going to go with this for now. And I'm going to be painting up this intake manifold as well. Probably do it on this episode as well. So I got a limited amount of time today, so I'm going to try to get these valve covers done and just see how far we go. Success, finally got it to the point where I like it, and I had to lay on really thick, especially on the last 2 coats, just to cover up the imperfections. But whenever I was using a Scotch-Brite on the high spitting areas, I scrubbed it down to basically the aluminum, rubbed my finger across all the imperfections, making sure that they were indeed smooth, and then after laying on the coats nice and thick, I'm very happy with the way it came out. It looks good. Everything looks nice and even now, and I'm happy with these results. The only thing that sucks is it took me quite a while to get to this point, so at least we got this done, and I'll come back in on another day and we'll pick off where I left off. Okay guys, back for another day. I'm gonna try to do some trimming on this oil pan, see if we can get this thing to fit and mount up, and then from there we'll move on. But the valve covers are nice and cured up. I'm very happy with the outcome of those, so we're making good headway. Now I just got to focus on this bad boy here and see if we can get it mounted up. So another thing that I noticed on this oil pan is not only do I need to shave a little bit here to give clearance right here so I can slide the pan over some, but the pickup tube height itself, if you can hear that, it's rocking on the pickup tube itself. So seems like right here in this area that the pan is not high enough. So I'm gonna go ahead and make some marks. We'll do some trimming. I'll eyeball the pickup tube and see how exactly I'm gonna do this. Right now I'm not 100% sure, but something's gonna have to give, so let's go ahead and try some stuff. Okay, I've been scraping away a little bit right here on the inside edge with a file, and looking at my measurements with the tape measure, I was measuring where the middle of the pickup tube would be, and it would be like 1 inch from the center of the hole would be the middle of the pickup tube. So puts it right on the edge of this weld. So I'm gonna take my grinder and just kind of grind away at this weld right here, and it is double-sided on the weld, so I should be just fine. Taking some material out right here, so I'm gonna trim a little bit more right here and right here, and then I'll try to mock it up and see if I made any headway with it, and we'll just have to keep on doing it until we can get this thing to fit right. So let's go ahead and start this. So I am making some headway, and what I'm doing is the height of this oil pan isn't as high as the oil pickup tube, so I've been grinding a little bit on the inside weld, and then also I was taking my punch, and as you can see I was relieving the area right here to get the space that the oil pickup tube needs in order for it to get clearance. Now I still have some more massaging to do on it, but the gap now has come down dramatically and it doesn't rock as hardcore anymore. So I'm making good headway on that, so I'm doing the right thing. Everything seems to be lining up now better, even the holes on the opposite side, but a hole right here is still misaligned, so I'm still gonna have to grind a little bit on the back side right there to get clearance. And just little bit by little bit, it's coming to where it needs to be so I can get this thing cleaned up and mounted on there. So I'm gonna keep on hammering away at it and grinding, and whenever I get done with it, I'll show you guys exactly what I had to do in order to make this fit. All right, I finally got it, and it took quite a bit of massaging in order to get this thing to fit up, but basically I had to grind this edge weld down and a little bit off the sides right there. I had to take more material off of the back corners right here in between these two bolts, well, these two bolt holes and these two bolt holes. So I had to take material off here, material off here. I then had to take my my punch with a hammer and just kind of make a valley right here, and basically it's about 1.5 inches worth of height on the pickup tube. The pickup tube itself is about an inch and a half high. Well, a little over an inch and a half high. So basically I had to take that measurement and make sure that the valley that I hammered out was taller than that. And that gave me my clearance. It still has a very slight rock to it, but I believe it's a little bit of a warping on this base plate here, because all my measurements are fine and all my bolt holes line up with the block. So this should be ready to go. I'm just gonna have to lay some thick RTV sealant to make up the little bit of a gap there is, but once I clamp it down with bolts, I should be in fact just fine. But that's what I had to do in order to make this thing fit, and come out pretty nice in the end. And all my bolt holes line up now, and it barely has any rock at all. I mean, if you could hear that, it's a very slight rock, and it's not due to the clearances anymore. It's just due to the base plate being a little bit off from them welding it and whatnot. And one other thing that I did have to do in a previous episode was I had to relieve this hole right here, just so whenever I put the pan on, it's a nice straight drop. I don't have to kind of angle it around this area right here of the pickup tube. But we are in fact good on this thing now. And that was basically what you have to do with the CX Racing oil pan. And that's the relief I made right here, right there, for the pickup tube itself. So if you're gonna buy a CX Racing oil pan, this is what you're up against. Just be aware. Would it stop you from buying a pan? In the case of a Z32 swap, I don't think so. Just a little bit of work is what it takes just to massage things out to make it fit right. That's not a bad deal. It's a lot better than cutting the cross member and getting a different sway bar and everything. But it is what it is, guys. So cool. I'm glad that we got this all figured out now. And from here, I'm just gonna be finishing off, you know, the rest of the things that I have to do, like the turbo manifold, the valve covers. I did find a torque spec on this, and it is in fact 90 foot-pounds. So I need to retorque that before I put the cover on the adjustable cam gear. And one other thing that I'm gonna do to it too is in between here, since I'm just gonna use RTV, on a RTV oil pan, you'll notice that you have reliefs like right here in between the holes, and that's just to get more RTV in between and to adhere and give it better strength holding up to the pan. So I'm probably gonna take my grinder and just make some little marks in between, just so I have a little bit of a gap in between the bolt holes. That way RTV would adhere better to the sealing surface, as opposed to it not having them. So that's one thing that I'm gonna do to this pan as well. But all in all, I think it's pretty nice. I got it figured out. I'm happy. And they did note, I guess CX Racing over the years building these pans did note the complaints, because they did relieve it right here. They relieved it a little bit right here on each side as well. But in this case, it just wasn't enough. And I imagine they mass produced these on a jig, and you know, so you don't have just one guy doing it, you have a bunch of guys doing it. So these must be common problems that they have with the pan, but that's what I had to do in order to make it all fit. So hopefully I have enough gap whenever I put the motor mounts on the engine. So we'll have to see that at that time, whenever we put the engine in the car. We have to see if this will give us the proper clearance or not. And if it don't, then I might have to use some shims or some washers to lift the mount up a little bit to clear the cross member, but we'll see. We'll cross that road when we get to it. But cool deal. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna wrap up this episode. I appreciate you new subscribers, and we are making good headway. We got this obstacle done. We're on our way to getting the transmission sorted out now. I was having a hard time finding an input shaft seal for the transmission, other than finding one in the UK, but hopefully I'll have those seals come in soon, and then we will focus on getting that transmission nice, cleaned up and everything ready to be mounted to the engine. But more than likely, when I put the engine in the car, I'm gonna have to put the engine in separate from the transmission, because I don't think I'm gonna have enough room to angle it in. But the valve covers came out really nice, and no spit spotting on it at all. It looks very clean. I'm very happy with the outcome of the valve covers. So we are moving on. We're making great progress, and on the next episode we'll finish getting the rest of the engine together, and I'm gonna order some more parts. I do have a rear head drain coming in and a couple other little things. So I'm also gonna order me a polyurethane bushing mount kit, polyurethane bushing kit for the Z32, so we'll be doing that. And from here, once I get all this done, we need to test fit it into the car, and then from there we will take it out of the car, and then I will focus on doing the engine bay. So that's what we got forward to look to. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. See you guys on the next episode.